Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Edinburgh City on Football Manager 2017. I'm going to be reviewing the first set of fixtures of our third season here, second season in League One of course. But first I want to run through some of the signings we've brought in this season because we have made some crackers that I'm confident are going to take us to the next level, maybe get us promoted this season, but certainly over the course of a couple of seasons these boys are going to develop. So let's have a look. This chap first from East Fife, might have mentioned him before. He's kind of about that sort of League 2 level. He's a decent player, he can tackle, he's got good strength, decent work rate, aggression, bravery. He's a good ball winning midfielder, so he's a good boy to have just now at this level. Maybe he won't make the jump up to the Championship, but he's a good lad to have for now. We picked up Ryan Tierney, formerly of Hamilton, who was on loan at East Fife last season. He's certainly a good boy at this level. Decent acceleration and pace and agility. He can dribble a bit, he can finish. He's not a bad player, certainly. Only 20 years old, so he can improve. I've also picked up Lewis Ferguson, who was from Hamilton. A decent player again. 15 technique, 14 first touch. Only 19 years old, 11 work rate, good decent pace stats and such. So he can certainly come on as well and be a decent midfielder if he'll be able to make the jump up to Championship. I'm not 100% sure, but he's certainly a good boy to have in the squad at the minute, at the very least. We've also brought in, now Stephen Boyd is the absolute gem in the jewel here. We have a little look, Stephen Boyd, look at those stats at this level. Woof. Those are just some tasty stats at this level. 14 dribbling, 13 finishing, 12 first touch, 11 long shots, 12 passing, 11 technique. 11 flair, work rate, vision, positioning off the ball, all above 10 there. Just quality football player at this level. And only 21 years old. He came from Hamilton as well. He was at Queen of the South actually at last season. And they didn't do much by him. So he's chosen to come back to League One this season with Edinburgh City. We've got him on a 2-year deal, so we don't have to worry about having to renew the contract if he has a cracker of a season. So we also have Darren Lyon, who I might have spoke about before. Came in from Hamilton Accies as well. And again, some great stats at this level. 23 years old, but according to the scouts and the coaches, he's got some excellent potential. He can still grow another, 1.5 stars, which will be brilliant. Passing, marking, technique, first touch, aggression, etc. Stamina. So a good player, good ball winning midfielder with some quality to play the ball after he wins it back. I'm going to leave Scott McLean till last because he is just immense. I brought Sean Bowles in from Celtic. He's certainly an excellent player, 4-star rating, and a lot of that's to do with his physical stats, his ability to get up and down. He can tackle as well, which is good, and he's got excellent decision making. Crossing's only 5, but he gets himself into the positions with his athleticism. At this level, he's a hell of an athlete above what most defenders he'll come up against. So he's running into those positions. He'll only get 5 crossing, but if he keeps getting into those positions, keeps crossing it all the time, he will get joy. He actually has 2 goals and 1 assist in the league so far. If you take into account the League Cup, they've got 3 assists in that. He's got some cracking average numbers there, so he's been doing really well. And his contract at Celtic actually expires at the end of this season, so with a bit of joy, maybe we'll be able to snap him up. Not entirely sure, but he is a good player. If we actually look at the coach report there, he's very well suited to League One football, which means he's obviously excellent at this level. He's potential to be a Premiership right back according to the coaches there, so hopefully we can get him, although it is unlikely. He is a cracker of a player for this season. Steve Monroe in from Inverness is similar on the other side, a hell of an athlete, doesn't quite have the decisions that Bowers does, but he's got some better technicals there. 7 for crossing, for example. He's on the left, only 16 years old, but he is a key man for us just now, above a 7 rating in the league. He will be a hell of a player for Inverness if he continues to develop. And the last lad we have here, Scott McLean from Kilmarnock, and look at that, I mean bloody hell. 13 acceleration, 12 pace, 14 for dribbling there, 14 first touch, 11 finishing, 12 composure, 12 technique, 12 heading. Flair at 12, off the ball at 12, decisions 13. He is just a cracker of a player. If you look at his league stats here, 8 starts, 8 goals, 1 assist. Just a monster. I think he's the best player in the league at the minute. Yeah, he is. He's leading the assists in the league, and he is the top goal scorer in the league as well. Little preview of the league here before we review the fixtures. We are currently top of the league on 17 points, 2 ahead of Stenhousemuir and St Mirren, 4 ahead of Brecon, and we are 6 ahead of Ayr, so we should at least be able to get the playoffs, but I do want to win the title this season. Looking at the schedule now, in terms of the Cup this season, I'll just run through them really quickly. Dunfermline Athletic came to us in Edinburgh and actually lost 1-0. However, we then went to Cowdenbeath and lost 2-1, so we kind of blew any chance we had there of going through. We went to Arbroath and beat them 5-0. We hosted Kilmarnock and we only lost to them on penalties. It was a hell of an effort against Premier League opponents. Gives us some hope for the future. Then we actually start the league season away at newly promoted Albion Rovers. 29 shots to their 5, 11 on target to their 2, 13 fouls to their 12. They pick up the only 2 bookings of the game, and we have 63% of the possession to their 37. Sean Bowles with a goal in his league debut after just 21 minutes. He also picks up the player of the match here. And Duroyaye with a penalty in the 55th minute. I don't know if that's a butchery of his pronunciation, but I'm going to go with Duroyaye. He completes the scoring. Comfortable as it gets here. We took 97 fans away to this one, which is decent considering it's a newly promoted side. It's not exactly a St Mirren or anybody that we're playing here, so decent stats there. We battered them all game pretty much, and it could have been more than 2. So after that, we host Brecon, who were lowly strugglers last season, barely survived relegation actually. So we were hoping for 3 points here, and as you can see, we actually lost the game. Brecon have always been a bit of a bogey team for us. 11 shots apiece, 5 on target to their 3, 16 fouls to their 11, and 4 bookings to their 6. So a complete grudge match here, booting lumps out of each other. 56% possession to their 44. We actually went ahead through Sean Bowers again in the 25th minute, went in 1-0 at half time. You know, you're thinking 3 points here is a must. Unfortunately, in the second half, Jamie Wilson strikes in the 54th and 74th minute. Consigns us to defeat against Brecon. Oh, look at Jamie here. He's actually a pretty good player, that Jamie Wilson. So that consigns us to defeat against Brecon City, unfortunately. We have 3 points from our opening 2 games. You know, it was a disappointment, this result, because it made me think we weren't actually going to be able to challenge for the title. It made me think that absolute domination in game 1 was a bit of a blip. However, we then pick ourselves up and go away to Forfar, who began in the save in League 2 with us. They've been with us all the way. We beat them 2-0 here actually. 12 shots to their 8, 6 on target to their 1, 15 fouls to their 21, 1 booking apiece, 57% possession to their 43. And Scott McLean there on the 30-minute mark, getting the opener, and then Stephen Boyd just after the break in the 49th minute, making it 2. Stephen Boyd, man of the match here. Expect him to pick up a lot more of them, given how good he is for this level. And that was a 2-0 victory again away from home. I was wondering if we were going to be a bit away specialists in the league. We then play Selkirk in the Petrofac Training Cup. They are now a League 2 side. 22 shots to their 6, 7 on to their 4, 12 fouls to their 23, and they pick up the only booking of the game, with us getting 63% of possession to their 37. So Scott McLean scores again in the 25th minute. We're liking that kind of 20-minute mark for our goals. Made it 1-0. Pretty boring game actually. They did alright. We had a lot of shots statistically, but not really troubling them all that much. They did well actually to contain us as well as they did. They actually had a penalty. Stephen Byrne with a penalty in the 72nd minute, but he hit the woodwork with that one, and we held out for the victory. We took 85 fans to this one, and considering the entire attendance was only 186, we nearly provided half of the entire fan population at this game, so that was good, especially for travelling to a lowly side. The fans motivated to turn out for us. Then we play relegated Ayr United, who came down from the Championship last season, and 4-1 victors. We run out 23 shots to their 11, 8 on to their 4, 17 fouls to their 14, 1 booking for us, 60% possession to their 40. So complete domination against a side who were a league above us last season. Scott McLean in the 15th, 29th and 49th minute striking a hat-trick. Alex Fisher with a goal back for Ayr on the 32nd minute for Ryan Tierney in the 89th minute. First goal for the club, sealing a crushing victory here. 119 away fans for Ayr, 845 overall. So I was expecting actually a bit of a higher turnout for this one, considering they were coming down from the league above us. I was hoping we could, you know, maybe, bloody hell, they've got Prince Boabin, I've just noticed that. I was hoping we could get a victory against them today, and absolutely we did, but I was hoping, as I was saying a minute ago, for the attendance to be a little higher. Nonetheless, the victory is the most important thing before we host Stranraer, who have had a pretty good record against over the years. And the reason why kind of showed itself here. We battered them here for a 0-0. 16 shots to their 2. 6 on target, none for them, 21 fills to their 20 and a booking apiece, 61% possession to their 32, and we absolutely hammered them. It was highlight after highlight after highlight of us just battering the goal. Unfortunately, we just didn't manage to get the breakthrough. Ryan McGeever there, their centre-back, with a 7.4 for the man of the match. 2 points dropped in that one, you have to say. Before we host Greenock Morton in the cup here, I was hoping to upset the odds. We nearly did it actually. 17 shots to their 7, 6 on target to just their 2, 23 fills to their 13 and 2 bookings to their 1, 57% possession versus their 43. But it was decided early on, 8 minutes in, Craig Moore striking for Greenock Morton before we unleashed something of a torrent of attacks against them, but they held out. They've got quality at the back for this level, holding out. Over 1,000 fans here, 1,090, 250 of them being away Greenock Morton supporters. But that would have brought in a bit of cash for the club, even though the run ended a little earlier than I was hoping. Then we go away to Stenhousemuir, who are doing pretty well this season. They're up relatively high in the league. 10 shots for them, 19 for us. Of those 19, 10 on target versus their 3, 15 fills to their 17, 2 bookings to their 3 and 59% possession versus their 41. Scott Lockhead unfortunately picking up an injury in the 8th minute in this game, which started actually from the kick-off. Stenhousemuir go up, Alistair Sutherland, who's got a great record against us over the years, goes up and scores in the first minute and we go behind early. Hoping for the momentum going, we push the boys forward. Scott McLean strikes in the 29th as we come back into it before Adam Watson, who had come on for the injured Scott Lockhead, strikes in injury time in the first half. We go in 2-1 up. 3 points there. I'm hoping to keep hoping for the 3 points there to keep the away 100% record intact. Unfortunately, Alistair Sutherland again in the 70th minute manages to get a point for Stenhousemuir in a game that ends 2-2. 82 away fans at this one. Sort of steady number now for us, just above 80 going to the away games. And that got us a point before we hosted relegated Alloa Athletic, and for the second time this season we put 4 goals past a side who came down from the Championship. 25 shots to their 9, 13 shots on target for us today versus their 4. 17 fills versus their 9, 2 bookings apiece. Their booking was for the same person. They ended up with 10 men on the pitch, 62% possession to their 38. If we look at the times of the goals here, Lucas Kuliak scored for Alloa after just 5 minutes. Thought we might have been in for a tough day there before Stephen Boyd scored in the 13th minute to make it 1-1. 3 minutes later, in the 16th minute, Scott McLean strikes for 2-1. Then Adam Watson just after the half-hour mark for 3-1. We go in 3-1 at half-time. Delighted with the boys, of course, is the response. We come out, bang, after 9 minutes, Stephen Boyd again, 4-1. And we're thinking easy street. Greg Pasazio with a howler of an own goal, it has to be said. It was, I honestly don't know how it happened. There were 2 of the guys on the line, and it's as if one of the guys cleared it off of him and it went in. It was a disaster. Made it 4-2, get a little itchy at that point before Joe Thompson gets 2 quick bookings and gets sent off. So we're now at 4-2 against 10 men. Has to be an easy ride here until Lucas Kuliak strikes the second in the 87th minute. And panic sets in pretty much. We just put everybody behind the ball there and just defended for our lives. We did hold out relatively comfortably in the end, but a 4-3 in what should have been a much safer game. But it is 3 points once again. So we take that and we move forward with those points into a St Mirren game away from home. St Mirren, a team that we really struggle to beat. We draw with them more often than not. And here it was an even game, 13 shots to their 15, 7 on to their 8, 17 fills versus their 16 and 1 booking versus their 2, 60% possession for us and 40 for them. We actually get out to the lead and after just half an hour there. Scott McLean, 33 minutes, puts us 1 up. However, Dale Hilson, just before half time, scores in the 42nd minute to send us in level. At that point, you're thinking same story again. We get the early lead and we blow it. We come out in the second half for a relatively even half. They had a couple of efforts on goal in this half as well, so it could have went either way this game. Scott McLean strikes just after the hour, 61 minutes, puts us 2-1 up. They have a couple of efforts to get back into the game, but we do hold out for a magnificent 2-1 away win at the Paisley 2021 Stadium against St Mirren. Over 3,000 fans at this one, only 99 of those our own fans, but that'll bring in, you know, some money for ourselves, having a couple of fans at this game. Yeah, it was a cracking game and a cracking result for us, which does leave us, as we said earlier on, top of the pile in the league, 17 points after our first 8 games, only 1 loss, which was a disappointing one at home to Brecon. But we should be looking to win this title, and I think our next set of fixtures we've got, you know, pretty much obviously the same lot again, but we've got a couple of tough ones. We have to go away to Brecon now, we have to go away to Ayr as well, which will be harder, away to Alloa, so a lot of those games are going to be harder than the first times around that we played those clubs. But it's dragging on a little bit for an update episode now, so reviewing some of those signings took a bit of time. I'd like to thank you guys for watching again. Hope you're enjoying the series. If you are, incidentally, if you could pop down below and leave a like, that would be a fantastic help. It does help, as I always say, for small channels such as myself. And I will see you next time for our next review of fixtures.